No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Friday Night Smackdown for January 19th, 2024. We are just over a week away until the Royal Rumble Premium Live event in Tampa Bay, Florida. Shout out to everyone watching this. I very much appreciate your viewership and support as always. Let's get to it. We kicked off the show with our world champion, our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, arriving in style. He said that he was there to make everything right again. And then Solo Sikoa said that he will fix everything after what went down on last week's show. We had the contract signing, which for anybody out there that has been following the No DQ recaps over the years, you know I'm not the biggest fan of contract signings. AJ Styles came to the ring. LA Knight came to the ring. Randy Orton came to the ring. They all signed the contract. Duh. Why would they not sign the contract? Roman Reigns' music hit, but instead it was Paul Heyman coming out there saying his usual stuff, saying that Roman Reigns was not going to sign the contract. And Nick Aldis responded by saying, if that's the case, then it will be a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble for the vacant championship. And Paul Heyman was not happy about this. He said that Aldis cannot sell this decision to the board of directors, the fans, or the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns. Heyman said Reigns should be defending in a singles match at the Royal Rumble. LA Knight agreed, said that he had Roman beat at Crown Jewel. Styles was upset because Styles got taken out. Styles brought up how LA Knight walked over his dead body to get a match with Roman Reigns and lost. Knight said he'll walk over Styles' dead body once again to win the title at the Royal Rumble, and that's when Styles took a cheap shot. They started brawling, and it was the old pull-apart brawl where you have the officials running down, and of course, somebody breaks through and continues attacking the guy. So we managed to get not one, but two segments that I don't like. I'm not a fan of contract signings, and I'm not a fan of the pull-apart brawls. Not that pull-apart brawls are bad segments or anything, but they're just severely overdone, and they're overdone because they always get a crowd pop from the live audience. But man, I'm just so tired of them. They've been done to death. So we got 2 for 1 in this opening segment, which it was time filler. It was what it was. Didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. It was just a segment with these guys, typical segment to build up the Royal Rumble. We had our first match of the evening, which was the LWO going up against Legado del Fantasma. Carlito has awful music. Nothing new here. It was a solid match. It was your standard 6-man tag team match where LWO had the early momentum. Wild and Del Toro were doing the stereo dives, but then Legado del Fantasma took control of the match for a while. And you had the thing that's very typical in these tag matches where the faces will get knocked off the apron. Like, I feel like WWE relies way too much on this in tag matches. Every time the good guys get knocked off the apron to prevent the hot tag. And of course, the hot tag does happen. It's a formula. It's every single match. So Carlito got the hot tag. He hit the backstabber on Humberto, but he didn't realize that Santos was the legal man. Another thing they do way too often in these tag team matches where there's the blind tag, and one of the competitors doesn't see it coming, and then they don't know who the legal guy is. They do that all the time, and Santos rolled up Carlito and got the win. It was fine for what it was. We had a video with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, and they basically issued a challenge to the New Testament or the Final Testament, whatever the hell they're called. The Karrion Kross group said that they're going to show the Final Testament what real intimidation is like. And then later on, we had a video from the Final Testament. They got their production people ready to have a quick response here, and they did. They were ready to fight, and the match was set up for next week. It will be Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, the Pride, whatever they're being called, going up against the Final Testament. Shouldn't it be at the Royal Rumble? Like, if you want people to take these teams seriously, I think they only have 4 matches for the Rumble, and I think last year they had 5 matches, if I'm not mistaken. We had Pretty Deadly backstage. They were interviewed, and they said they're pretty smart boys. They've been doing their homework. They're prepared for Tyler Bate and Butch, but they got to swerve, beat Butch in the match. Instead, it was the return of Pete Dunne. Standard tag match here. Tyler Bate did his airplane spin again. Pete Dunne did his joint manipulation, but it was a fairly basic match here where Pretty Deadly did take control of the match for a while, and then Pete Dunne got the hot tag. They double teamed Pretty Deadly, and Pete Dunne got the win with the bitter end. I feel bad for Pretty Deadly. I mean, I figured they would lose this match just because Pete Dunne's got to get a win, his first match as Pete Dunne again. And of course, in the previous match, they had to establish Tyler Bate. So that's 2 L's in a row for Pretty Deadly. I'm glad Pete Dunne's back to his own name. I'm definitely a fan of Pete Dunne. Cleaver, Colin Andrew, sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Says, Peter mother effing Dunne, baby. About time. Definitely long overdue. And there's a good question here. Will we see the return of a heel brawling brutes with Sheamus and Ridge Holland? That remains to be seen. I want Sheamus to come back as the old school Sheamus with the old music written in my face. That's what I want from Sheamus. I think he should be back as a singles competitor. It looks like Ridge Holland is doing stuff in NXT for the time being. We had Pretty Deadly backstage basically saying that they prepared for Butch, not Pete Dunne. There's their excuse as to why they lost the match, which is fine. We had the KO show with Logan Paul, which might have been the best thing on the show. You had Logan Paul, the United States champion, saying that he was not honored to be on a bottom of the barrel show like the KO show. He said it's his show now. And then he brought up how Kevin Owens was the reason that he became a WWE superstar. And he showed the footage from WrestleMania 37 when Owens took him out with the stunner. That was the WrestleMania where they had the limited capacity crowd with the social distancing. And he might have brought up, I'm not sure if it was Owens or Paul, but one of them said there were 70,000 fans in the building, which definitely not true for that WrestleMania. Owens said that he's been doing things for 25 years, and to him, Logan Paul was just another guy that he gave a stunner to, but he did give Logan Paul credit for sticking around longer than most celebrity guests, but made it clear that Logan Paul is not one of the boys. And Logan said he doesn't want to be them. He's his own man. He's a billionaire, blah, blah, blah. And the crowd was chanting, Logan sucks. Owens said it's a joke that Logan's U.S. champion. He's going to put an end to it at the Royal Rumble. And Logan said that unlike Owens, who has the cast, Logan knocks out people clean. And Owens said there's no punch Logan can deliver that will keep him down for 3 seconds. And then Owens said that he's not going to have the cast at the Royal Rumble. And furthermore, he proved something. He took off the cast, and when he was doing this, Logan Paul took a cheap shot. Owens got back up. We had a brawl, and then Logan got the upper hand. He slammed Owens's exposed hand into the ring post, the steel steps, to further injure it. Good angle here. I definitely liked this segment. Logan Paul did very well. This got me more hyped up for the match. I would say that this was a success. We had Solo Sikoa backstage taking responsibility for what happened last week and said he will fix things for our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. We then had a tag team match, Caden Carter and Katana Chance versus the Unholy Union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Unfortunately, the crowd did not care one iota about this match. Fire and Dawn, they're basically DOA on the main roster. Like they got no momentum. They are the opposite of Fire at this point. You had Bailey out there, damage control on commentary. Fire and Dawn, they were aggressive in the match, but in the end, it was a very basic match here. Little to no crowd heat. And the champs retained with their finisher. And then after the match was over, we had the angle with the Kabuki Warriors. That's the match we're waiting on. Kabuki Warriors got in, handed over the tag team titles. Things got a bit heated. And then we had the match set up for next week's SmackDown. Again, why is this not on the pay-per-view? I mean, I'm not complaining about a 4-match card, but you would think that they would maybe have 5 on the show like they did last year. I mean, ultimately, it's the Rumble matches that sell the show, so it really doesn't matter all that much, but still, tag matches galore on this episode of SmackDown, by the way, and we got another one coming next week, and I suspect we will have a tag team title match, or tag team title change, I should say. I do think the Kabuki Warriors will win the tag team titles on next week's show. We had the OC backstage with AJ Styles, and they said that they still have Styles' back if he's willing to have them. Guess we'll see what happens with that in the coming weeks. And then we had footage of Carmelo Hayes and Austin Theory's match from last week being stopped. Thankfully, both guys are okay. Carmelo was interviewed backstage, and he was interrupted by Theory and Grayson Waller. Carmelo issued a challenge, a rematch with Theory. Theory said he's busy next week. He can't do it, but then Waller was yapping and said that Theory actually has nothing going on. So Carmelo said he'll talk to Nick Aldis and get the match set up for next week. Theory was not amused with Waller putting him in the spot. But the gist of this is that both guys are okay. Theory will be back in action on next week's show. Nothing too serious. And then we had AJ Styles versus LA Knight, which just booking this match is very sus because you know neither guy is going to lose here going into the premium live event. So it was obvious that we were going to get some shenanigans in this one. It was back and forth, but then we had Jimmy Uso showing up and then Solo Sikoa with the Samoan spike to LA Knight. causing the disqualification. No surprise here. And then Solo attacked AJ Styles as well, left him laying with the Samoan spike. And then Solo got on the mic. He said 2 down, 1 to go. He called out Randy Orton. Randy Orton came down to the ring, and we had our match. Orton versus Solo. Now, it was another standard match. Kind of a short match considering how much time was left on the show. I mean, with like 5-6 minutes left, Randy Orton was going for the RKO. So it kind of told you that, okay, there's going to be some big post-match angle here. And sure enough, Jimmy Uso came down. LA Knight and AJ Styles went after Jimmy, and Randy Orton was able to pin Solo Sikoa with the RKO. I mean, they were protecting Solo for so long, and now they're not. Don't know if that means anything, but obviously they gotta make the challengers look strong. Not that Randy Orton needs it or anything, but you really don't want him losing en route to a title match on the big event. And then afterwards, we had our big angle. AJ Styles was knocked down by LA Knight, but then Orton took down LA Knight with the RKO. RKO to AJ Styles as well. And then we had Roman Reigns showing up, getting a big superstar pop, by the way, in Atlanta. Reigns came in, Superman punch to Orton, and then Reigns got the contract. He officially signed the contract. So if you were in any doubt that this match was happening or not, it is now official. It was not official before, despite the poster and the advertisements on WWE.com. It was not official, but now it is. You can rest easy tonight knowing that this match is official for the Royal Rumble. But then Roman Reigns got a little too cocky for himself. He went for the spear, and Randy Orton was able to counter it with the RKO. Randy Orton's music hit. He stood tall to end the show. And it was a decent SmackDown. I'm not a fan of the contract signings, not a fan of the pull apart brawls. The matches were okay. Again, I actually thought the best thing on the show was the Kevin Owens and Logan Paul segment. Final segment of the show, very standard. I'm giving the show a C+, mostly due to the Logan Paul and KO segment. That was above average. The rest of the show, to me, was very average, standard, not much to write home about. Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Building Nexus. I appreciate it. Says, surprised Aldis hasn't banned the Bloodline from the Rumble match. Well, there's a reason for that, and that is they're probably interfering in the match. I mean, that's the legit reason. Kayfabe-wise, storyline-wise, that's a great question. Why would Nick Aldis, in character, not ban these guys, knowing that every single match they interfere? Doesn't make sense to me to not do that after their history. And in these types of matches, there's no disqualification. So Aldis should really say, hey, if you guys interfere, you're fired or something like that, or you're suspended. Anyways, looking forward to the Rumble. And this Tuesday, we will be doing our predictions for the Royal Rumble. The predictions will be at 7 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour before NXT, just so you guys know. Royal Rumble predictions coming up Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, Sunday night, we have the No DQ review coming back. A lot of news going on right now. Is Okada heading to AEW or WWE? What about Seth Rollins? He's injured. And he could miss WrestleMania. The hope is that he will be good to go, but you never know. He's set to make an announcement this Monday on Raw. And we'll talk about that on the No DQ review. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, does the Bloodline storyline miss Jey Uso? Absolutely. And I think that we will get back on track with that come the Royal Rumble. As I've been saying all along, I expect this match to be Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania, and we're going to get back to that. Something at the Royal Rumble, they're going to cross paths, and that's going to set up WrestleMania. I know they've been teasing Jey versus Gunther, but I think Gunther has a different opponent for WrestleMania, a certain beast, if I had to make a prediction on that. And we're going to get Jimmy versus Jey at WrestleMania, the match that they've been talking about. They set the tone, they set the match up basically back at SummerSlam, planted the seed for it. Thank you all again. Much love and appreciation to everybody out there for watching. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and tune in for the review Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.